let your money work for you. Don't work for your money.
How did you, get the stomach for all the risk taking?
Because you can't move ahead, especially in the world of investing, without changing your understanding of how money works. And the whole book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, compares two different perspectives, the poor dad's advice and the rich dad's advice.
Okay, Eric.
Yes.
You say Rich Dad, Poor Dad changed your life.
How did you know?
Well, because you told me to read it. You
Wow.
were like, you have to. So I did read it, but how did it change your life?
It taught me the difference between an asset and a liability,
Okay.
which no one ever taught me. Even school didn't really explain it clearly. I mean, we all knew what it was. I went to college. I got an A in my accounting class, but I didn't really grasp the concept of a house not being an asset, right? So that was number one. And then the biggest takeaway for me was let your money work for you. Don't work for your money.
Yeah.
He says the rich don't work for their money, obviously. Can you explain that? Can you explain why the rich don't work? Because I don't want to work.
Well, that's the wrong attitude.
Similar to Eric, that's one of my best real estate tips. You do have to work, but eventually you get to a point where you can make your money work for you, right? So one of the key takeaways I got from the book was, like you mentioned, the rich don't work for money; they make their money work for them.
Yes.
And a perfect example of that is someone told me this story. I forgot who it was.
Me.
But he said the poor or the working class, we wake up, we get dressed, we have breakfast, and we go off to work to make money, right?
Correct.
The rich, they wake up, they get dressed, and they go watch TV or have coffee and send their money out to work for them. And when you really internalize that, that's really how wealth is built. Because if you have access to capital.
Step back. Explain that further.
All right. So
because
every morning,
how do I send my kids off to school? How do I send my money out to work for me?
That's a great question. So first off, you have to have money to begin with, or access to money.
You have to start out being the worker bee and then make the money. And then you gradually shift to sitting with your coffee and sending your money out.
Yeah. And that's pretty much the formula to build wealth from scratch, right? You start out working, whatever it could be, minimum wage, get a career, work corporate, get benefits. But eventually, if you want to come out of that, you have to make your money work for you.
Yes.
So you either save up a significant amount of money and then put that money into an investment, or you get access to capital, get an investor, and use their money to get into investment. But that's pretty much how the whole business cycle works. And this type of information is just completely left out of schooling, so people don't know it, but that's just how wealth is built.
Yeah. So I'll give you a quick example of making your money work for you. So I worked in my family business, I think when I was 25, 26, I think I was making like $35,000 a year, some crazy amount of money.
Nice.
Which I don't think was that much. Maybe it was. I'm out of I'm out of touch with reality. So I saved up a ton of money, bought my first property, sold it, got some equity. So let's say I had $200,000. I took $200,000. I bought a fixer-upper because everybody knows I love value-add properties. Properties you need to fix. I bought a fixer-upper. I fixed it. I ended up dumping maybe another 100 into it. So let's say I'm in 350, 400, somewhere around there. I now today have a mortgage on this property. I have a $500,000 mortgage from, it's probably 10 years ago. My mortgage is, including taxes, are about $6,000 a month.
Okay.
I have 4 tenants. Okay. And my income from these 4 tenants is $11,000 a month.
There you go. $5,000 in your pocket.
So that's $5,000 every month for the rest of my life. Hopefully this mortgage is going to be over in 5 to 10 years. And then it's going to go from $5,000 to, let's say the taxes are $2,000 a month to, $9,000 a month. And then if the rents go up, who knows? So this is how you make your money work for you. Now, I had to work to get to that point. I had to find the investment. I had to work to find it. I had to work to fix it. I had to work to put tenants in it. But once you get that established, that money is there forever.
But don't you still have to work when the tenant's toilet goes or something happens? You're still working.
Right, but if you worked at McDonald's, you still got to go and flip the burger. So wouldn't you rather call a plumber and have the toilet fixed, or would you rather go flip the burger? So it's like you have to just get get there and get it done. And the goal is you're working towards having your money work for you.
Yeah.
Right. It doesn't just happen, unless you're lucky and you get some huge inheritance, like some people in my family may get, and you just get all this money and then you just make your money work for you.
Yeah. But the book also goes into escaping the rat race, right?
Okay.
So,
what's the rat race?
Typically a dead-end job that people don't want to be in, but they have to because they have bills and we have to make a living, right?
And I think that is 80% of the people out there.
Yeah,
They're doing something that they don't really want to be doing, that they wake up and they're like, but to keep my house, to keep everything going, I need to go to this place every day.
Right. So how do you escape that is a question. And Rich Dad, Poor Dad goes into that. So part of it is you have to get out of being an employee.
Okay.
Full stop, right? That's just one of unless you're a very high income earning $1 million plus type of employee, which some people are, you have to just get out of that segment or that quadrant, which we'll get into, and get into having money work for you.
Okay. Well, you mentioned your quadrant thing. Is this from Star Trek? What's going on? What's the quadrant?
So one of the biggest takeaways from this book for me was the asset and liabilities differentiation was big, but it goes into something called the Cashflow Quadrant.
Right.
And that separates the different types of income that people make. So majority of people, like you mentioned, are employees. Then there's investors, business owners, and then self-employed. Those are the 4 options if you want to make money. So employee is your typical person who works a 9 to 5, salaried position, has benefits, comfortable living, but they'll never get rich, right? They'll never be wealthy. They'll never be financially free. Investors are people who make their money work for them. That's where everyone wants to be. Then there's self-employed, people who are not employees, but you know the saying, if you don't work the 9 to 5, you work the 5 to 9. You're going to work even harder.
I like that one.
Right? So people want to get out of their job, they become self-employed, and they work even 2-3 times harder.
Wait, you weren't working 5 to 9 last night?
Not last night, but...
But he's in the investor category.
At this point, I have a mix of different parts of it, but yeah.
Okay.
So self-employed are your real estate agents, your freelancers, and there's lots of people who are self-employed, right?
And they do okay. They do manage some more freedom of their time.
And also, it doesn't all happen overnight.
Correct.
You still need to go get a job. Right? You still need to learn. Part of where I got my skill sets from was working for somebody for 10 years. Okay, I didn't just start out and wake up and say, I'm going to go work for myself. Now, if I had a different education or had different mentors when I was early on, maybe I would have done something like that. So I'm not saying an 18-year-old can't go out and make it big on their own.
You have to get some skills.
But you need to have life skills. You need to have street smarts. Those are things you get by working with others, working around others, and watching others.
Yeah.
Well, what's the 4th quadrant?
Sorry.
The 4th one is, just self-employed is someone you mentioned has, what was it?
A little bit of freedom of their time.
Freedom of time, true.
You can move things around.
So self-employed is a great position to be in, but you own a job is what it comes down to. You don't work for someone, but you do own a job yourself. So it's still very limiting in terms of building wealth.
You mean self-employed?
Self-employed, yeah.
So let's give an example. Like you own a Blimpie and you're running the Blimpie.
So that falls into the 4th one, which Noel just asked.
Okay.
The business owner.
Okay.
Right? So self-employed is your real estate agents, your freelancers, your artists, graphic design, etc. But business owners is the next step that most people want to get into. They want to leave corporate and start a business, which is not a bad way to do it, but it's very challenging in the barriers.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah,
running a Blimpie is a lot of work.
Yeah,
it is, but
I don't want to do that.
But there's other forms of business, right? So
yes.
That's a small business. There's businesses that make millions of dollars. I'm sure you want to do that. These are franchises, and that's actually a great example of how someone can get into the business world, right? Because if you're working for 10 years and you decide, hey, I'm tired of this job. I have $250,000 to $500,000 saved up. I want to break. I want to do something else. What type of business can I get into? So for the average person, you're not just going to start some innovative business.
Right.
You want to go into something that's proven at some level.
Right.
Less risk,
proven it to some degree.
And the one thing about franchises is that there is something for everyone, no matter what you have a passion for. There's probably a franchise that you can get into. Do you love kids? They have preschool and music schools and all sorts of franchises like that. Do you love food? There are food franchises. There's
here's why I like the Blimpie franchise.
So I love money.
Okay.
You do.
So if it's a franchise, my decision is going to be based on money.
So you want the franchise that prints the money.
That makes the type of money that I'd want to make. So I wouldn't personally look at whether it's a daycare or a food business. I would look at what's the return I'm getting.
So what does he say that the quadrant that you want to be in is the best quadrant? Which one is the best quadrant?
Ideally for everyone is investor.
Right.
Yeah.
Because your money is working for you.
Because it's a difference between making what they refer to as linear income, where you get paid for every hour, right? And if you don't work, you don't get paid. Versus using leverage to make money from your money, and there's a lot of different ways that could go.
And that's the cash flow quadrant.
Yeah.
Everyone is now Googling the cash flow quadrant.
But it should be taught in schools. It's unfortunate that it's not.
It should be. But you can start out as someone who works for somebody.
Yeah.
Then you can start out and go into your job or your self-employedness, and then you can go into your franchise, right? And then you can use the money from your franchise to buy the building that you're operating in.
It's a long process.
And then you can take that building and rent out the extra stores, and then you can sell the Blimpie franchise to somebody and now collect the rent. And now you've turned from all those quadrants into the investor quadrant because now you own the building with tenants.
Yeah.
I have to say that neither of you are afraid to take risks. And that's something that Robert Kiyosaki talks about, that you can't be afraid to take risks. Talk about it. How did you get the stomach for all the risk taking?
You want to start?
No. You're younger. You should go first.
So you're right. Risk taking, it has to be a part of it, right? And for me, first step was getting a corporate job out of college.
That wasn't risky.
It wasn't. It's risky in terms of opportunity cost because you do that for too long, you're not coming out of that, right?
True.
So I was always wondering what type of risk can you take in your 20s? People say you're young, you don't have kids, you don't have a house, go take risks.
Agreed.
But like, what type of risk am I supposed to take?
Any risk.
Like what?
Whatever gets you excited.
So I think most people's idea of risk is going to the casino or investing in the stock market, right?
Okay.
And so I don't do that. I don't think that's risk. I like the idea of calculated risk. And calculated risk is much more manageable. So you have to look at what type of calculated risks can
you're
take.
being smart about it. You're taking an educated or calculated risk because you know that you can do those things. Some people may not understand that.
Yeah, so that goes back to what type of risk can a 20-something-year-old really take to get the results that they want. And if you're working a 9 to 5, I was looking all throughout my 20s, what can I get into? So I looked at all these different small businesses. I looked at online opportunities, investments, entrepreneurship. And if you don't know anything about the arena, it's high risk. Like, where do you even start? Right? If you want to own a franchise, how do you get the money for it?
There's the risk that a 20-something-year-old can take is the risk of their time, because you have the time to do things. Even if you're working a 9 to 5, after that 9 to 5, you can spend all night. You can spend all of your time. I mean, you were in wholesaling. You used to go put up those little signs.
I did.
Don't come and arrest him. But you can put up those little signs. But as an older person with responsibilities and children, you have to give some of your time and attention to other people.
For sure.
So as a 20-something, hey, go ahead.
Agreed. So I think the window of opportunity runs out. And that's a real, that's a reality. If you're in your 20s, you have time to take risks, but take risks that grow you as a person, because you need to learn before you even get into something right off the bat.
The window of opportunity definitely runs out for real crazy financial expenditures, like buying bigger buildings or some of that stuff. So I do agree with that. I think everybody has a different risk tolerance. I definitely feel that starting out early is the way to go. And you asked the question, what was my risk tolerance, or how did I get into risk? I don't think I realized that there was risk.
You were so young and naive.
I did some crazy stuff with real estate and I was so undercapitalized with some of the stuff that I was doing that, if the wind blew the wrong way, I could have been like wiped out. And I just was lucky. I'd like to say that I was quasi-educated and took a smart risk. But I just did it, and I just jumped in, and, hard work and perseverance. There were some struggles. I ate Burger King for a couple weeks, but it was good to get it done, and I did it. And I still take risks today.
You do.
I'm not afraid of risk today. If you show me, any light at the end of the tunnel, I'm the first one to jump in it. So I think it's just the type of person you are. Obviously, positive experiences breed more risk. For me, I need to just, I think, make sure I don't get too risky, because I'm always the one that's like, let's do it.
So I think one of the things that, and I wonder how you learned this, was the power of leverage. What is the power of leverage? Because he talks a lot about that. Yeah. And I feel as though you both know a lot about how to leverage and when it's the time to put that into action. Talk about it.
Leverage is awesome. You can leverage.
Is it?
Well, there's lots of leverage.
Yeah.
You can leverage a relationship.
Yeah.
You know, like Omar and I leverage each other for our strong points. He's good at numbers. I'm good at, I don't know, what am I good at? But so we each have different points and we leverage the other. That's it, just partying. But we leverage the other person for their strengths and weaknesses. Yeah. And then there's leverage with money, that's the one that you wanted, obviously.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and you're taking a certain amount of money and you're using it to make more money. That's what leverage is, not having something paid off in full.
Yeah,
that's what leverage is.
And that's to just continue on that. So leverage, an example of it is, let's say someone who's working a 9 to 5 wants to get out of it. And that over the course of 5 to 10 years, they saved up, let's say, $250,000. When they try to do something with that $250,000, it's difficult. There's not many things you can do, right? You can't buy a business for that, unless it's a very small business. But in most cases, a 9 to 5 is better than a small business, right? So you're very limited, even if you get up to about $250,000. So that person's best option is to leverage that and partner with somebody who's going to bring additional money to the table, or combine it with an SBA loan of some type. So now they're $250,000
what you have and being able to use that to expand upon it.
Yeah.
Or so how I did my first leverage was I bought a house, traditional conventional loan. I fixed it up.
You lived in it, though.
I lived in it. I fixed it up while I was living there, and I took the value from, I don't know, $200,000 to $400,000. I was able to pull out money, and I used that money to buy another building, and that was where my leverage was. And I kept doing that over and over and over again. And then I sold a couple properties, and I made even more money. And then I took that and leveraged those new properties to buy more. So it's like a domino effect. Yeah. And if you do it the right way, with minimizing your risks to smart risks and understanding what you're buying and not going out and buying like something crazy that you have no idea what you're doing with, the sky's the limit. You could keep going forever.
Yeah.
So you mentioned an SBA loan. How do I get an SBA loan? What is an SBA?
SBA stands for Small Business Administration. I haven't done it, but the whole idea of it is it allows a person to buy an existing cash flowing business with a very nominal down payment.
It's usually 10%.
10%.
Yeah.
Yes, you could buy something.
Have you ever used it?
I've never used it. I've had clients use them.
Okay.
It's also great for existing businesses that want to expand or want to buy their own building. It's a government-backed program.
Yeah. Very difficult to get.
Yeah, we can have a talk on that, SBA. We should have someone on the show to talk about that.
We know someone with SBA, don't we?
We know a ton of people.
Yeah. I think that would be interesting.
You have to be in business to get it. You can't just wake up and decide to get an SBA loan.
Yeah.
You have to have business experience, I believe. And if you own a business, you can get it to buy new businesses or to expand your existing business or to buy real estate.
So I actually don't know if you need business. I don't know if you need to be in the business.
No.
I think if the business that you purchase has to be profitable, cash flowing, and has to have their books and everything in order.
Don't they gauge just make sure you know how to run that business?
So I think that's where their asset liquidity qualifications come in.
So that's leveraging. You have a small business that's very small. You want to leverage that to get an SBA loan to make it bigger.
No. You want to get into a business by using a small amount of money and leveraging the SBA loan to purchase it.
Using the SBA loan as your leverage.
As your leverage.
Because you don't have the cash.
And then you were mentioning that you pulled the money out. I remember the first time, and this must have been over a decade ago, when you were like, yeah, to me, and I pulled the money out. And I'm like, how did he pull the money out? Can you explain that? Can you explain that? Because not everyone knows the whole process of refinancing, the whole process. It took me forever until I realized that, now you have a mortgage. And the people in the building are now paying for that mortgage.
Yes.
But explain it from the south.
So you're buying a property. And typically, if you want to pull money out, you have to buy something that you're going to increase the value on. So on a regular, let's say, house, if you fix the house, you could increase the value. And now you're creating equity, right? And you're taking out equity and replacing your initial loan with a new loan for a higher value. And then you're getting cash, which you can now use to go buy something else.
So you can refinance for it's what is it, up to 70%?
There's all different programs, and you can also do it with commercial. So you could take a commercial property. With commercial, you don't necessarily have to fix it if you just change the rents. You change your cash flow. So you replace lower paying tenants with higher paying tenants. Excuse me, the value of your property goes up. And now you could do the same thing, pull out more money and go buy something.
The abundant mindset. Talk about the abundant mindset. Because this is something that when you're older, I think it's easier when you're younger. When you're older and you have responsibilities and
like
you
now.
have people that depend on you, it's harder to see past those dependents and have that abundant mindset. But what is it, and how, as someone
why don't you define abundant for us, just so we know what you mean?
Well, why don't we define it? What does it mean to you?
Extra.
Extra, okay.
Is that what it means to you?
It means from moving from a place of scarcity where that I can't do that, or we can't afford this, or that's never going to happen, to a place of, well, there is a way to make this happen. How am I going to get from A to B?
Ooh.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
That's a good one.
I think for most people, once you get into investments and you want to make a major change in your life, you have to find some sort of proof for it, right? Otherwise, you're in a very limited, self-limiting belief, which is keeping you where you are. And that shift from that self-limiting belief of, I can't get out of my job, I don't have the skills, I don't have the knowledge or the network, that has to change. And that, I think that's what they refer to when they say abundance mindset. So when I first looked into real estate, just exploring what and how people make money, I remember in Barnes and Nobles, I would go and there used to be this book. It's called How to Buy Real Estate with No Money Down. I never read it. I saw it there.
You never read
it? You read the cover.
But I'm like, there's some guy who wrote a book about this. You know, must be something legit about it.
Right.
And eventually I understood and learned about how these things are done. But picking up information like that is part of the abundance mindset. There's ways to do things that I'm not even aware of. And someone wrote a book out there, so...
So there must be a way to do it.
He's doing it.
A lot of people write books these days.
Yes, they do. Well, you both have an abundant mindset. I know that you are always like, well, we're going to figure out a way to get that done.
Yes.
Don't worry about it. That's your biggest thing that you say to me all the time. Don't worry about it. And how do you not worry about it? I mean, you got 2 kids. They're about to go to college soon. You have a wife. You have a beautiful house. How you doing that?
Stress. No, I know how to make money, I think, at this point. And the stress that I put on myself is self-induced. Obviously, that's the word. But I can change things and I can make things work. So I know if we want to do something, I know how to make it work. Whether I want to sacrifice the other piece to make that piece work is where those are more my challenges. But at this point, I can pretty much make whatever ideas that I have in my head or that we have work. I just have to move pieces around. So maybe that's where my abundant mindset comes from.
No, I mean, you both definitely do that. And I try.
It wasn't always, I don't think it was always there. I think the risk was always there.
Yeah.
And the feeling that we could do anything was there. You know, I always tell you that you could do anything you put your mind to.
If I want to do it.
Yeah, if you want to do it.
If I want to do it.
I think it goes... I think experience and taking steps towards the things you want eventually help you build that abundance mindset. Because it's not just positivity thinking, right? You have to have some level of proof of what you're doing and build and continue building on that.
Well, I think also it's not so much being like, this is going to happen, but I know there is a way for this to happen.
Yeah.
Let me figure that out.
That's exactly it.
Let me figure out what that way is.
That's it. Exactly.
And I think it helps that to find people who have been where you are and have came out of it. How did they do it?
Yes.
Right? Because if they could do it, chances are they think differently. Highly likely that they have a different mindset altogether. And once you understand how they went from step 1 to step 2 to step 3 to step 50, it just breaks things down and makes it more approachable.
So tell me about a failure that you've had.
Oh my, you can talk about failures.
Eric will always say there is no such thing as a failure for him. He has never failed at anything ever. But
this may be a long podcast.
But I mean, obviously you guys are in a good place. We're all in a good place. And you have failures, but you have to learn from those failures. So what's the biggest thing that you've learned from?
You want me to go first?
I'll take the word failure out. What have you learned
Biggest
from?
lesson.
I've never failed when it came to real estate. So everything I've ever set my eye on to buy or to flip always worked extremely well. My failures have been in some of my business ventures that were maybe surrounding real estate, but not directly related to an asset purchase.
Got it.
And a lot of the reasons I failed was just taking on too much at one time and not being able to focus on it. And real estate asset purchases, they kind of work themselves a lot of the times. So, it's when you're doing a business where you have to put more time and effort into it, and it's hard when you have 5 or 6 things going on at the same time. So I've definitely had a couple failures.
And what did you learn from those? How did you, because you still have businesses, so you haven't given up altogether.
One of the big things I've learned is I always partner now. So I always pick somebody that I feel I can jive with and who I can trust for anything new that's big that I do, because I know that I'm already got too much going on and I can't do it by myself.
What about you? What's your biggest lesson?
So when I left my corporate job, I had no idea what to do next. And at the time, real estate wasn't my first choice, because I was seeing all these startups make millions in Silicon Valley, and the internet was taking off, and I had so many ideas I wanted to pursue. So I figured, let me try something online, and if it works locally, I could just grow it nationally and become a multimillionaire.
ABC, boom, done.
But as soon as I got started, it was so overwhelming. I underestimated everything, just setting up the website, learning programming. I had some people overseas putting things together. And then once that website was put together, I underestimated how much time it would take me to go out and actually sell. I was a one-man show. And everything seemed to make sense when you talk about it. But once you're actually in it, the amount of time, effort, money, I was draining my savings. And eventually I just realized that this is not as easy as I thought it would be. And there's too much risk involved. And it didn't take off. I spent a good portion of a year trying to make it work. It didn't. And then after that, I got into real estate.
But what did you learn from it?
A lot. I mean, just the whole idea of being a one-man show, having a startup run and function from... My idea was to do it from my living room. And there's so many components involved. I used to spend time on the website and programming and things that I just didn't understand. And I couldn't hire somebody. There was no money coming in.
So when did you know, or when does anyone know when just to give up? When is it time to jump ship?
When you see your savings start draining and you're not having any money come in, that's a good time.
Is it ever a time to jump ship, Eric?
Yes.
Okay, and when is that time?
When you should never chase money that's spent. So if you
what does that mean?
Meaning, like, if you've already put that bad money out there, don't keep going because you're trying to recoup all that money you put in.
Sunken costs.
You have to, sunken costs. You have to know when to pull the plug. And one of my things is, like, I don't like failure. I don't accept failure. I just keep going. So it took me a while to learn, like, okay, this isn't going to work because you don't have the time to put into it. So because you're making that choice to cut it, you're cutting it, right? Because you just can't do everything. So knowing how to recognize those signals.
And to be like, overboard, right.
Bail out. And it's tough to do. I still struggle with stuff like that today. But it's tough.
So the last thing, and we're talking about Rich Dad, Poor Dad, a book that has changed everyone's lives at this table, but you live by this. I mean, you've told me the first time I met you, you're like, go read Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yes.
Go. So the last thing that he talks about is investing in yourself. How do you guys invest in yourself?
So, Omar mentioned positivity, that just doesn't get you there. It's true, it doesn't, but you have to just know that you're going to do it. I'm a big visualizer. I look at stuff and say, I'm going to do this or I'm going to get this. And I could tell you, just to give an example, there's a building that I've been watching for 10 years and tomorrow I'm buying it. Yay. So, if you visualize it, if you project it on that wall, if you talk about doing it, if you talk about being successful, you'll get there. You got to work. You can't just lie in bed and say, these great things are going to happen. You got to get out there and work.
And Omar, how do you invest in yourself?
So I think investing in ourselves for me is really knowledge-based, right? Because you can't move ahead, especially in the world of investing, without changing your understanding of how money works. And the whole book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, compares two different perspectives, the poor dad's advice and the rich dad's advice. And in order to move from that poor dad's advice to the rich dad's advice, you have to expose yourself to that information. So whether seminars, books, just going out to meet people and working with them, asking yourself, how can I provide value to somebody who I want to be like, right? These are opportunities that get you out of your routine 9-to-5 mindset and just let you know what else is out there, because most people just don't know what type of investment opportunities are out there.
True.
And the only way you can get there is by investing in knowledge and yourself, and then putting yourself out there to say, you know what, if so-and-so could do it, why can't I do it?
Well, you definitely live by that, because not only do you learn, but you teach.
You're right. What do I teach now?
Well, I mean, you teach with us. You teach with the Center for Real Estate Education, the Find, Fund, Flip, the Burr method. But you're definitely someone who likes to impart knowledge. And of course,
definitely.
He likes to tell me a lot of things.
And I think that is one of the reasons why we're here talking about Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Why we're telling people to go out and buy that book and read it. And, they can leave comments. Let us know how they felt about it.
And take my class, since you mentioned it.
And take your class.
I really think that the biggest takeaway here is, all three of us at this table are super successful, and no one helped us get here. I mean, now we help each other, but we all started as nobodies, and we love to help people.
Yeah. Thanks for watching this episode. Now don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment, and we'll see you next time.